It is now, 10:59. We call the meeting of the Strategic Housing Finance Corporation to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
President Wilmer Roberts,
Here.
Vice President Lisa Reams, Director AJ Bingham, Director Julio Gonzalez, Director Keisha Prince, Director Christine Rosales, Director Rosa Rios Valdez. No.
We have a quorum. Okay. All right, item 2 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes of April 7th.
Item 2.
Uh,
Public forum.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Guess we'll call opportunity to the public forum. And I understand there's 2 speakers. There should be 4. Okay. Who's first?
Gabby Garcia. Yes, ma'am.
We get to print this morning. Good morning. My name is Gabby Garcia. I'm an organizer with FASTA, and I've been supporting the neighbors at Rosemont since last summer. There's so many issues that haven't been resolved, and I'm not going to go through each and every single one of them, but I did want to reiterate a few of the priorities that there's Rosemont tenants have identified. So one of the first ones and the most important ones is that the SHFC board directs staff and Capstone to immediately implement the tenant protections via the lease addendum. This is dragged on for too long under the pretext that it's still being reviewed by attorneys. And all these protections could do so much to alleviate day-to-day problems that come up for tenants, like lease renewals and charges for late fees and all sorts of things. So that's very important to them. The next priority is that there is a clear process for tenants that are undergoing construction and repairs, and that they know what to expect and are able to communicate problems and issues that come up with Capstone. Up until now, there hasn't been transparency, accountability, or good communication. And this creates unnecessary stress and frustration for tenants. Last night, and I apologize for the hour that we sent it, we emailed a draft of forms that they would like to work together with Capstone to implement. And we hope that the board will pass a resolution stating that Capstone will begin to utilize these forms moving forward. And finally, there's a list of issues that aren't related to repairs, but that tenants are still waiting to be resolved. And just to name a few, a lot of people are still waiting on reimbursements. People are still waiting to get electric bills that they receive from a company called Conservice worked out. They're still not getting copies of their leases, and they're having to fill out renewals and recertification packets multiple times. There are affordability concerns. Tenants are saying that their rent has increased up to $300, which is insane considering that this is affordable housing. And that there be permanent solutions to the still broken mailboxes. There are security issues at Rosemont and safety issues. And finally, tenants are still not being treated with respect by the office staff. So we know that you all are new and there's a whole lot to catch up on. And obviously, like, Rosemont is not the only property that you all are in charge of. But it is a property that has a lot of problems, and we're hoping that the board will be open to coming and visiting in person and seeing some of these conditions firsthand. Last year, we invited the previous board to come and do a tour, and none of the board showed up. So we're hoping that it'll be different this year. And soon the tenant association will be reaching out, trying to coordinate. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Is Diana here?
They're all on the phone.
Okay. Diana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to address the board now?
Yes. Good morning to everybody. My name is Diana Villanova, and I'm a member of the Neighbors at Rosemont Tenants Association. I'm here to give you an update on conditions at the apartments. After 10 months, my apartment has been complete. As far as the walls are back up, the second restroom is also done and got new flooring throughout the whole apartment. But there are still other things that need to be completed. They were supposed to come out today. It's already gonna be 11 and they still haven't showed up. Even though they didn't complete all of it, I appreciate what they have done. The process was a little frustrating because there were times they would tell me contractors were coming and they wouldn't show up. Or I would ask them to let me know what they were doing the next day so I can cover my furniture, but they didn't. That time they got my couches drenched in dirt. After this problem and me complaining to them, they did, but still need better communication and stick with their word. Now let's talk about my neighbors. They are still under construction. Jeremy had said that 20 units should be done by the end of April, and some of the people that were on that list haven't gotten their apartment fixed. We're all in this together, and I think that just how they told me my apartment was going to get fixed, they should have done the same with everyone. Coming back to the same as to all the meetings, if there are empty and fixed apartments, why can't they move those residents to those apartments? A unit next to me has been fixed for quite some time and nobody lives there. I am here to ask the board to support tenants at Rosemont by addressing these issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Ms. Goff, are you here? Is she on? Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
Yes,
Is this Ms. Goff? Go ahead.
no, this is Sade Forge.
Okay, you can address the board.
Okay, good morning. My name is Sade and I'm a member of the Neighbors at Rosemont Tenants Association. I'm here today to give you an update on the conditions of my apartment. I moved back in my unit months ago. I filled out a repair list and I also filled out an inventory walkthrough list. And nothing has been fixed in my unit. I've been told repeatedly that the items will be fixed on this day and that day, but nothing has been done. This is very frustrating because I moved out just to come back with things broken and not up to par. It doesn't make sense because a lot of the things worked just fine before I moved out. For example, like my bathroom sink worked fine before I moved out. Now that I'm back, the sink has a little water coming out of it. It makes no sense. I'm here to ask the board to support the tenants at Rosemont by addressing all of these issues. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Anyone else that would like to address the board?
Hello,
Hello, who is this?
this is Paul Rodriguez. I'm also
Oh,
a resident at Rosemont. I just wanted to address what's happening here at Rosemont as well. I have seen since we've gotten the new regional and the new management that a lot of change are happening. Things are processing, and yes, it's not going to happen overnight and it's not going to happen over a week, but things are happening. And I've noticed that Jeremy and David have both taken personal interest in people's I guess in helping them, because I've never met the original before and I've been lived here over 4 years. Now I've met the original. He calls me, texts me to let me know what's happening, how are things are going, and what's the process is going to happen ahead. David has came over to my apartment. He's told me, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and things are actually happening. Everything's pretty much getting fixed in my apartment as well. And this has happened ever since we've gotten the new management and the new regional, which is recently. So I just want to say thank you to them and to and our neighbors that are still getting help, that they keep working towards helping them as well. That's all.
Thank you. Is Ms. Goff on the line?
I'm here.
Ms. Goff, would you like,
Yes, I'm here. Hi, good morning to everyone. I'm Keonda Golf. I am a member of the Neighbors of Rosemont. And I want to just talk about my neighbors this time around. The meeting that we had on Sunday was absolutely gut-wrenching and heartbreaking to hear and listen to the complaints and concerns of my fellow neighbors. Many, if not all, expressed how they were relocated and moved back into their units from Airbnbs under the same conditions they left. Conditions included but not limited to no walls, molds, no toilets or bathtubs or sinks to bathe, to brush their teeth, for school and for work, or just to relieve themselves of their own body waste. An infinite amount of disrespectful complaints of how they were treated. Back in the 80s and
Ms. Goff, are you still there?
on this board, please go and visit these units. People at Rosemont are living like they are in a third or fourth world country, not America in 2022. Thank you.
We missed that. What's going on? Anyone else? Sign up?
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
I would like to, please.
Is this Elsa?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, I'm a member of Rosemont. This is Elsa Christopher. I would like to address the board. I feel like since this whole thing has started, Jeremy has been one of the better parts of management we have had at the Rosemonts. First off, multiple employees that didn't have the tenant's best interests at heart have been removed from their positions. I've noticed more maintenance activity around the property. I had my AC cleaned the other day. They forgot to replace the cap and had my Freon leaked out all this weekend, and Jeremy had it fixed the following day. I called Jeremy and they had them out here actually the next morning. I noticed that Jeremy's communication skills are better. Doesn't feel like he's ignoring us like the past management was. One thing I can say is my apartment hasn't been fixed yet, but I'm hoping that it does get done in a timely manner. What else? I know that some of my tenants' apartments have been fixed. Some of my neighbors have been fixed, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. I'm hoping that the ones that are still haven't been fixed, I'm hoping that we do get something done soon. But I do notice that he is here every day and he's trying to do his best. And I know it's not going to get fixed, like they said, overnight, but I do notice that they are trying their best and a lot of changes are getting done. And I greatly appreciate the changes that are coming. And I know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on the property, and with the right communication skills and gaining the tenants' trust, I hope that we can all have our lives and have our apartments back soon and have everything accomplished. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
There's no more, none. We'll move to item 2, item 3 on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes of April 7th. Entertain motion to close it, review it. Yes, second. It's been moved and seconded, minutes for the April 7th be approved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we move to item 4 on the agenda. Rosemont, Oak Valley update. Go back and forth. Who do you want to handle that?
Sure, so as we did last time, we're gonna have it 2 parts. Robert's gonna cover the overall and overarching elements of the plan. probably the issue with that relative to what mine. And then Jeremy Bristol's gonna leave us on the go back.
All right, with regard to the status report that is provided in the board book, the amount of the estimated cost of repairs remain the same. Again, it's an estimate at this point. Why the grand total sources to date have increased is as a result of the operating deficit increasing on a monthly basis. So you will see that number increase. What Jeremy is going to report is that our occupancy is around 58%. As I had mentioned to the board in previous board meetings, 85% is break even. So we're a long ways from it. We have a tremendous number of vacant units that we are going to need to get leased up. So that is affecting that number. With regard to the lawsuits that we have, BR Texas, I put on there, it's an M&M lien. It is a lawsuit now. I also have a lawsuit with Alfred Contractors. We're getting to the point now where there's a motion for summary judgment on Alfred by May 21st. I'm probably past the point of being able to resolve these, and I'm just going to probably have to pay these at this point. And if we certainly do that, we're working with our attorneys to get that accomplished. Sole Corporation, which is a much larger number, has not filed a lawsuit at this time, but has made a claim. And so I'm still concerned about that one as well. And cash flow is constantly an issue. With regard to the amount of money that we have remaining in the with the trustee, both with insurance proceeds and the amount of reserves still remaining for debt service, I pulled those out. So I just now have requested $753,000 to be pulled out to pay for these additional expenses. But you know, that's good news. We had some money. Now the problem is we don't have any more. The only source of funding after that is either out of our pocket or additional proceeds from insurance. So again, I list what a cash advances have been made towards repairs for both Phoenix Catastrophe and the build back contractors, and then the contractor that did the roofing. Again, we are working through this process. Insurance still is an issue for us. We anticipate to receive $195,000 for an email, but that is very much inefficient for the amount that we had requested. So we'll be going back with that process. We wanted to identify the latest inspections that were done by the adjuster and how they arrived at the 195. And the difficulty is we're funding everything based upon a per unit, and yet insurance is paying us back based upon buildings. So it's kind of apples and oranges as far as comparing, you know, what they are reimbursing us for. I can tell you we're at a point where if we do not get a resolve shortly, that we will have to look at other methods. If we have additional lawsuits, council has suggested that we include the insurance company within that lawsuit and name them as an additional defendant. Hopefully that will cause them some concern, maybe spur their interest in trying to get this resolved. It has not been very pleasant. Again, we keep pulling a lot of money out of pocket. The exact amount we have out standing just us is somewhere around $2 million. I have a cap of $3 million that I can spend, and I'll be approaching that. shortly. We continue as we get more contracts for additional units to be built back. The method is we provide half of what's required in order to get that done, and then they go forward and do that. So nobody is slowing down on any of this process, and we are funding the request as they come in.
What are the two lawsuits that you say, what are the settlement costs on those?
So the amounts that I show on the sheet, one of them is 157, the other is 99. That does not include attorney's fees. I don't know what that is at this point, but so what the plus attorney's fees. So somewhere, around 200,000. So that's just something that, we're going to need to address here shortly. That was kind of part of my reason for pulling the remaining money out that we had available and just clearing out that account.
So I just wanted to make a point, based on my experience in being in construction, one of the things that we find often is that when you're dealing with an insurance company and they're looking to do an assessment, they use a totally different system to do calculations on the costs of what it takes to repair. For example, from a construction perspective, we use a system that's called RSV to do calculations on cost of materials, cost of labor. They use a totally different system. So what we found is that what they would look at reimbursing you for, the cost is substantially lower than what it actually takes to do the repair. So my question is, have we looked at another company that would help you in working with the insurance company to do a better assessment of what the actual cost is? Because if you haven't done that, I would encourage that you do, because there is a vast difference. And I've actually been in situations where I've, I guess it's won cases, but actually convinced the insurance company that there is a vast difference, and we've actually gotten them to raise the amount of money that they would be reimbursing us for.
And to answer your question, the contractors that we're using to do the bill back, there is a software that they use which is compatible with the insurance company. And so as that is being submitted, that is really not the issue. The issue is that the insurance company, the amounts that they're providing us are for the build back only. And the issue that we've had is we've gone through in the area of Phoenix catastrophe. They're the ones that did all the remediation, and that was $6.5 million, which has been provided to the insurance company real time as those invoices were being submitted. And to date, they completely finished their job, and their total invoices, like I said, $6.5 million. It's the insurance company who is saying, we're just concentrating on the bill back. We do have an adjuster on our side. We are unable to have a public adjuster because of the policy, but they're acting in that same capacity. Our adjuster is working with their adjuster. What we're now trying to do is assign a percentage based upon what work has been billed back, a percentage of the remediation that would tie into the actual work that was prepared.
What are the lawyers saying, Robert, and with regards to this?
So I reached out to Naaman House attorney, who is the insurance expert in-house. And what we're going to do, we were the last batch that both adjusters looked at was, I think, building 3 to 10. They did their inspection. They provided all the information. We were waiting to see what the outcome was going to be in dollar amount. We now have gotten that email that said it was 195, which was very disappointing because I thought a percentage of the remediation would be included in that. Now that we know that, we need to go back to the directors of TML and tell them that the amount that they are providing to us is insufficient, that quite frankly, we may be using words of dealing in bad faith, that the amount of 6.5 million that has been previously provided to them, as you recall, we had 5.6 million, which was a partial proof of loss back in July, and they still have not addressed it. Like I said, we're at a point where if this does not break loose with more money, that we are in a position to move forward otherwise.
I'm gonna let someone else say something, but I think we ought to include them in the lawsuit also. Add them to it.
Absolutely, that was a great suggestion, and I am working with Phoenix Catastrophe because I'm talking to them on a regular basis, and I have been able to put them off by making smaller payments from filing a lawsuit, but you know, that only goes so far. And
Will be the one else have any questions, comments?
Mr. Reddy, you are so diplomatic and knowledgeable, and sometimes it's hard for me to understand the substantive direction of what you're saying. When you're saying that the insurance company chooses to only concentrate with what it means on the bill back, I'm hearing that is they are ignoring a request to be reimbursed for the remediation. Is that accurate?
They are not saying that. They're saying that's still under review. And we're saying, okay, you've had this in real time. You've had these invoices and it's complete in 6.5 million. That's a nice way of saying they're putting us off. And we need to have a little stronger language with them with regard to, you do know where this is going. And if they do not cut loose with additional funds, we are going to include them in these lawsuits because that's the only method for us to repay these things. Whether that's going to spur them on or we're going to have to actually go forward with legal action is a question. I really can't tell you. I've asked the question, maybe they just don't have the money.
So
And that's a real possibility.
there is no documented denial of the fact that our policy covers anything.
No, sir. And if they were to dispute our claim of what we have submitted, they're long overdue.
And I just wanted to make sure I was hearing this correctly, as we went over, and just another subtle detail. In the documentation we received, you continue to estimate the insurance proceeds as 10 million.
And estimate what?
The insurance proceeds.
Right. And I've said before, and it's worth saying over and over again, that is my guess.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more than a guess at this point. Others are saying, we don't even think we're going to get that much. What I've been trying to do is compare, and that's why I'm having difficulty when I say apples and oranges. We're paying out on a per unit basis. They're paying on a building amount. I'm not finding out just how good I'm doing. I can tell you that as the adjusters go through units, when we did moisture mapping, there was a certain number of identified areas that did have moisture and it was ripped out, but it is being not claimed as part of the freeze damage, that it was maybe a prior incident. And they're saying that that may represent 20% less of what we anticipate. So that's why I'm trying to find out, okay, what's my scorecard? How well am I doing? How much is insurance gonna pay and how much I'm gonna have to pay that's outside the original claim? And that is very difficult. And again, it's an estimate on my part. I hope to expect a lot more than that, just being optimistic, but realistically, it's a guess.
And that,
Julio, I'm gonna cut it off. We've got a time frame we're trying to meet today, and then we're trying to get through this portion of the agenda. Unless it's urgent and we can get an answer, then we need to move forward if you don't know.
So one more thing I wanted to mention, the very end of the report, you see the reimbursement from the county. And we still are owed $1,250,000 plus from the county for relocation costs, storage, a number of other things. You know, obviously that's a cash flow issue for us. I'm very concerned about the cash flow. That's all I'm doing is trying to keep ahead of all of this. There's not cash flow coming from the property. There's not cash flow coming from the insurance company. There's not cash flow coming from the county. And help. I don't know what else to tell you other than I'm doing everything I can. I've drawn all the funds I can. We're digging into our pocket.
So I can speak to the county cash flow. So back in September 21st, the county passed a resolution to use ERAP funds, emergency rental assistance funds, to support the relocation efforts at Rosemont at the tune of 1.6 million. Subsequently, they were trying to commit funds by the end of September for the ERAP funds countywide. And so they provided rental assistance to residents living at Rosemont for 3 months. That came up to the tune of 720,000. They are subtracting the 720,000 from the 1.6 million that they committed for relocation costs. The resolution does say rental assistance. However, the intent was to use those funds for relocation. I'm meeting with the Commissioners Court next week to discuss the item, but all indications suggest that they will not change course with respect to giving us the 720 that they had committed for relocation costs. So we've been back and forth with the staff about that notion, but it doesn't appear that that's going to change. So we will only get max 900,000. Now that's roughly, but there are some costs that they're saying aren't ERAP eligible that we paid for. We had some residents that were interested in living that were, say, live with a family member. You know, when family members were reimbursed at 150%, I think, of fair market rents because they felt comfortable doing that. But the costs like that aren't being recouped at all. So doesn't look like we're going to get that. Our current costs, as you saw, is probably like 1.8. I think we've spent to date, but we are, you know, 720 doesn't look like we're going to be getting for the relocation.
Thank you. So therefore, as you can see in summary of what we're probably in the hole and we have a couple where there's everybody is owing us money and we're not, nothing is coming in. So what I have thought of is maybe if there's some influence with the Commissioners Court or with the legislature or something of that nature, if maybe forming a committee of 3 people to visit with those individuals that you may have influence with and try to have an ad hoc committee to let folks know where we stand. What are your thoughts on that?
That makes sense. I cannot volunteer for this ad hoc committee, but wondering if Julio, if this is something.
I think the chair and the vice chair, and the representatives are probably such tasks.
What you wanted to do. We have to do. Okay. You okay with that? So you got it, ad hoc committee, and we'll set something up. Okay. Thank you. This one, next, that's next item on the, are you gonna have?
So, yeah, we're gonna have Jeremy now, with us, on the bill back for status.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeremy LaCroix, the regional for Capstone and for Rosemont Oak Valley. I'll be giving an update on the build-back process. So we developed this memo around, I think every time we have a board meeting, I'll develop this memo for you guys. I'll give you updates. every
And
meeting.
please submit it in time for us to review it before the meeting. As you can see, our time is very constrained. For the fact that you present it at the meeting, it's a very hard to have a conversation. It was not in my board packet. This memo was not in the board packet I received.
It's in board, yes.
It's on, yeah, it's on board. I put it there yesterday. I got it yesterday.
You got it yesterday, right? So I reviewed the documentation on Monday.
Duly noted.
There needs to be more time so we can have effective discussion. Given the time constraints, we probably need- you understand this?
Duly noted.
I agree.
That's my responsibility, duly noted.
So we'll start with the total unit count right here. We have 280 units altogether for Rosemont. The number of vacancies as of April 30th is 122. Out of the 122, we still have a lot of units that are vetted. Just wanted to notate that first. Right now, we're focusing on really directly the living in place units, tenants who are living while there's walls and missing. And of course, we're voting back for them. It's 101 units altogether to start with. 8. We're talking about living in place. We're done between January 1st, January 31st, 10, February 1st to February 28th, and then March 1st to March 31st. Now, keep in mind, out of that, construction was working on and trying to gear up for to get other units also ready as well with regards to relocation units and things of that nature. And of course, now for April 1st to April 30th, we have 10 units that were completed. And in fact, we had another additional 10 that were completed as well. However, I walked them and was not happy with the work. So I asked contractors to come back in. And so they are going back in per my quality control. And they will be finished with all of them. This ETA by May 21st. It might be sooner than that, but we gave a healthy kind of time frame for May 21st for all those additional 10 to be done. So those 20 have been completed. It's just we had a quality control issue that I was not happy with on some things. And so that's my main purpose, is to have quality control and to be directly involved with construction. And so altogether, the initial count looked at completed between April 1st, April 30th with no issues whatsoever are 36. So right now, you see 65 right there awaiting, and those out of that 65 is 10 that when asked contractors to go back with quality control. So altogether, 55 units, once we take out those 10, are awaiting repair and work at Rosemont. I do want to mention a few little things right here. I just took over as a new regional. However, I've made a lot of strides with the staff. And so one of them is communication. We've been pushing all the residents to use a new system, something that kind of everyone else in our industry uses called knock. It's kind of for text messaging and email communication. It's a form of communication just so we can, be a little faster in our response time. Sometimes people get letters on the doors, some don't appreciate it, or some do, after hours and things of that nature. So we're trying to give people real-time updates through knock. We have gotten an overwhelming response from the community, and a lot of them have opted in. We still have more that need to opt in. And so that's our goal to push that campaign for knock. Staffing, Capstone, we hired a new resident coordinator. We don't call them lease stages no more in this particular situation, we call them resident coordinators who can really help with the issues and situations and misunderstandings that happen. And for example, like in service and things of that nature. All of my staff have been directed to do the required training within their 90 days of employment as needed. And that's something in which that we use through a program called Great Skill. We also engage with the Austin Apartment Association and other conferences as well to get the staff fully trained up for Rosemont and multifamily in general. Lisa, so, we just hired a new assistant manager. She's been there less than 3 weeks. She's still going through the whole files and doing a whole audit. So right now we're in an audit phase, and it's taking us a little longer than anticipated, but we're auditing all the accounts and all the files. And so she's been tasked to set up appointments with each tenant, each resident at Rosemont to completely require paperwork to recertify and renew. And, with recertifying and renewing, there has been some cases where because people are able to self-serve, and meaning that they get the paperwork, they put down the information, and of course, get the paperwork and then send to clients and things of that nature. If there's ever a issue where, let's say, something's not documented correctly, or there's a clarification for compliance, sometimes compliance will ask us to review the whole paperwork, and that's just something for tax credit purposes. So it's extremely frustrating. I understand because I've talked to residents, and it's just trying to make them understand the gap of that understanding of our compliance department and what's required, from us as a taxpayer property. So we're renewing. Anyone that's we renew within the guidelines that's given to us by compliance. No one should be receiving a $300 increase. If there is one that I'm not aware of, I will rectify that by today. But again, we're doing a full audit process on this property. And so again, it requires more of us to continue that process, to on the accounts and ensure we're in full compliance, not only with TDHCA, but also with our compliance department of all the other rules and regulations that we had to adhere to as a property. Next one is community amenities. So, we're working in the beneficial way to make sure all our common areas, especially mailboxes, for example, are accessible to our residents. So currently we have contractors, of course, focused on build backs for occupied apartments. Right now we're assessing other bids and options. So right now, there's going to be an update as we kind of continue using knock for all the residents. One of the biggest things, I want the pool to be operational. I want people to have access to more things of the community because that's what highlights. I'm really big about resident events, and that's kind of a big thing for me as a regional to push those as resident life. Another one is mailboxes. I was saying earlier, I directed AmeriShield, which is our new courtesy control company, to install new and update cameras in the mailroom because we are installing a electronic keypad for all the residents. We wanted this to be done, let's say 2 weeks ago, but we have been delayed by AmeriShield to them being back ordered on parts and things of that nature. So it's really going to be done by May 9th, which is this Monday coming out. So those delays, we are trying to update as much as possible. Of course, we're going to update through knock. Again, we're trying to get everyone to opt in to knock for the text messages and email capabilities it has. So right now, all I'm asking is for us to continue the build back plan. As delayed, as we are in funding, we're still moving with progress. Funding has really been a thing that I think the board should definitely recognize. I'm sure you guys already do recognize, but I want to encourage, not only the residents to understand and also the board to understand that, we're in a marathon. It's not a race. We're moving towards getting everything done. We just need to foster a better way to communicate with our residents, a two-way communication, and just continue the effort in a timely manner. And so I know right now there's been a lot of residents who are frustrated, and I hear the frustrations. And so for me as a regional, it's hard for me to micromanage. And at this point, I've been really directly involved in the last week or so to make sure that a lot of things are done the right way with my staff as they're still learning the process. And I know I have a lot of critics in the crowd, and I get it. I want you guys to hold me accountable because I hold my contractors accountable. And so I'm ready to take all the questions as needed for Rosemont within time frame, of course.
While you're contemplating that, we wanted to show you like the Rosemont website. There's some questions about maintenance requests, but there is a fairly intuitive process that you can actually do on your phone. That gives you the indication.
So sorry.
So we require here at Rosemont and a lot of our communities for people to, let us know in real time or whenever they can in writing service requests. And, maintenance has always been a huge thing. I cleaned out the maintenance department. We're having new people come in, and actually I've already started this week to get things done. But the biggest thing for us is to have residents to utilize our online system. If possible, this can be pulled up on your phone, any phone, iPhone, Android, and it can also be pulled up on a laptop, for example. So this is the Rosemont website right here. And so right here under residents, you can also click it and go through on the mobile application. Residents right here, you can see where you can click and do pay rent. You can leave us a review, which I will respond to, and service request as well. So you click service request, and then right here is where you're able to put your name, you put your email, phone number, and then permission to enter or not. That is very critical for us because if we don't have that, and as you can tell, you can put no right there, but if the resident really wanted a yes, and there's that miscommunication, we need to definitely make sure that the residents are aware. And we've I want to make sure that my staff has been communicating, and they have, that to make this a very crucial item, because if they don't want us to enter while they're not home, then we want to give that notice as needed. And of course, make sure that's fully communicated that we were there and what was done and what was not done and the progress of it. And of course, they can put right here what the service request is, and then they submit to the on-site, we call it, I'm sorry, OneSite is our software. And so it goes into OneSite, and then from OneSite, it sends an email to myself, to the manager, to the assistant manager, and also to the resident coordinator. And of course, we just got new staffing, but I usually tend to let the manager and his staff tend to it. If I ever hear that there's a complaint and this hasn't been done within 48 hours, that's our ballpark right there. If it hasn't been resolved in the 48 hours, I step in and direct things going forward. I don't like to micromanage, but at this point, I want it to be very direct. Every resident, I've given out my phone number, my personal phone number, my email. And if I know of a situation, I will resolve it myself. There's some situations that I'm not aware of, and I have noticed that recently. And I loop back in the manager, say, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? And I go and talk to the resident myself. So it's a lot of catching up on some things, a lot of training for my staff. And so right now we're working, and I'm working to audit all the accounts and make sure not only this misunderstandings like for service, for work orders, or even very recently, we had Austin Energy come in and give us free upgrades. They gave us free thermostats, digital thermostats. They cleaned coils. They've done this, they've done that. Free charge, free thing for the community. However, we have a lot of residents who don't know how to work in that thermostat. And for whatever reason, these are kind of 20-year-old condensers. And for whatever reason, they're not compatible with the thermostat. So we've had a lot of HVAC issues. And for me, I had to directly get involved and, and resolve those type of things. But those kind of misunderstandings, I don't want that to be a negligence or a fault of property management, because we're trying to be as responsive as we can as we audit the accounts, as we come in and give direct, really first-class service that these residents deserve at this point.
I have a question about this form. Does a copy of this form get, because it's a form online?
Correct.
Does a copy of the form get sent to the resident making the request?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they do. They do.
The board got an email from the Residents Association, and it sounds like they have a proposed form or proposed method of communication. What is your orientation to that?
You're talking about the construction? Yeah. So Gabby called me late yesterday, and I'm already working on a form that would kind of streamline the process and have better communication, transparency with the residents. Because I have over 6 properties that I manage as a regional. So I'm not there every day as I want to be, but in these last 2 weeks, I've been there more often than not. And I wanted to see what exactly was going on. And so I see that there is a gap. And that gap I've identified, and I'm already working to have a documentation in place for construction to use. And so when Gabby called me about it and emailed me about it, so, afterwards, I said, that's great. Let's merge together those forms. Let's collaborate together, because I'm all about working with the tenant association. In fact, I meet with them monthly. I've only started this job for 2 months, but I will continue to meet with them monthly. So I'll collaborate with them. So to answer your question, let's merge those forms together and let's have it, because mine was going to be implemented next week. I mean, if there has to be a delay, that's fine, but I want to implement it, merge it, collaborate, and implement it by next week or next 2 weeks, if possible.
And we have to give them some autonomy. I don't want us to, as a board, we set policy and of course direct and allow staff and the contract to do their job anymore. So I understand bosses and Gabby's concern, but our position is to set policy and to direct the staff and contractors what to do, and to allow them to make their decisions independently. I don't want to get into micromanaging you. That's not the board's position in my opinion. If I'm wrong, then
I only bring it up just because it's an important,
please.
it's a tool, and it's also a good faith effort to show, residents helping decide things for themselves. And I just want to encourage, I want to encourage that kind of relationship. The tool and stuff, it's more of a symbolic and meaningful, it lets that residents have a voice and some autonomy.
Yeah.
Like their living.
I
Yeah.
agree wholeheartedly. And the only thing I'm saying is, as a board, we shouldn't be directing and setting policy.
No, I appreciate that. And, please don't misunderstand me. We have rules and policies and procedures and, I'm acting within our property management agreement, but I'm willing to work with all the residents. I really am. I don't know. I wasn't here with the previous staff, I let them go, but, I can speak about myself and, and my actions is that I'm willing to work with anybody so long as it doesn't go outside the parameters that are ethical or illegal in any way. So I'm willing to work with all residents at this point, just so we can turn around this community as much as possible.
The staff received the recommended form as well. We were gonna, as a staff, work with the property management to offer some recommendations. So to your point, we will obviously encourage, I wanted him to show today the simplicity of being able to do work requests. And I wanted to make sure that there was a mobile application that we could, it's not an app, but going to the website and how the ease in which that could be done. Because we understand that sometimes things get lost, or maybe someone communicates verbally to someone and that doesn't get tracked. I mean, the key is having a good system of accountability. And we as the owner's rep want to make sure that happens. So we will work with Capstone, Jeremy and the like to ensure that we continue to evolve and improve as it relates to communication. Can never do enough in that respect.
Thank you. The only thing I agree with everything that's been said. The only thing that as a board, we should deal primarily with policy and direction. And so how you do it, I'm not getting into it. Okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Do I have any more questions?
Did you complete 20 units?
We did complete 20 units. However, we had a quality control issue. Okay, I understand completely. And that's a fair argument. That is a fair argument. It's my fault that we haven't hit those 20 because I said that I wasn't happy with this work, and I could have been okay with it, but I wasn't okay with it. I walked the units and I wasn't okay with the work because there's paint, there was things of that nature, sheetrock, texture that I wasn't happy with, and I asked the contractors to go back in. So I know we're delayed, but we're delayed because of quality control. It's not because I don't want us to make progress. I want us to make progress the right way, because if we're going to pay all this money, I want us to get our money's worth.
Any other questions?
Let me just mention a few things, and if there's no other questions. I heard earlier comments. I just want to clear up some things. It's always misunderstandings in our business that I kind of want to clear up. I told someone earlier, I want to be in every conversation if I can, just so I can clear those things up. One of them, in regards to late fees, the only one that reverses late fees is the regional, which is me. So if I'm aware if there's a late fee and then the manager has to communicate to me, if the residents email me, and everyone has my number or email, I'll look into the issue and resolve the late fees, whatever that case may be. In regards to Conservice, again, Conservice is a utility billing company. They're third party. So think of them almost like I hate to say this analogy, a McDonald's or Walmart or things of that nature, who don't really, they serve their customers, but they don't know each customer's individual situation. So for Conservice has us as their clients, but they don't understand our individual situations as we are working with residents on the ledgers and things of that nature. So all it takes is a simple request from myself to Conservice to take care of those fees. As long as I'm aware of it, I'm able to take care of them. And usually it's at the regional level that we're able to get them. The manager can't do it because it's just that oversight that we kind of require, for all the properties. In regards to my office staff, I've heard some complaints, and I'm investigating them currently. I can't speak to the nature right now where we're going to land, but if, like I said in the last board meeting, if anyone on my team disrespects a resident, or if there's something that, I don't like whatsoever, in which something was handled and it was very hostile, it was very out malice or malicious. I don't want that person on my team. I don't. I want everyone to have dignity and respect because we're all human beings. And that's just basic. That's just a basic, nature, how I work and operate. Of course, there's always labor laws in place. So again, I'm investigating all claims that I've received recently. If the board wants to tour the property, great. But I'll say this, recently I told construction, clean up my community. It's, there's times which they clean it up and there's times where it's trashy. And actually yesterday, I sent a really damning email to both of them saying that I want my grounds to be cleaned up once again and to be monitored a little bit more closely. I want them to report to me daily on where we're going on grounds. So that's always an ongoing issue, just so you're aware. And then of course, with work orders, again, I fired the maintenance staff. We have a new maintenance staff that's coming in, this week. It just happened very recently. At this time, we just have to find the right people and the right quality and quantity of people to hit all the work orders as they come in, because we do get a lot of work orders. And so we're working on that ongoing. By next board meeting, I do anticipate to have more maintenance as well for this community. And of course, any communication or in regards to anything else, we're trying to utilize NOC. And of course, we're trying to utilize other methods just to have a real-time response to all resident complaints or issues and situations. And that's why I hired, as you saw earlier.
I appreciate you going into details, but if you would kind of summarize.
I'll summarize it. I'm wrapping it up. My apologies. I know everyone is.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll summarize it. Yeah, well, we just hired the resident coordinator and that's about it. So I will leave it alone.
Get with boss and work to send them out.
The
Of course.
staff will be working with property management.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm very long-winded. My apologies.
I understand that, but we've got a couple more important.
No, I get it. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Next item on thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Next item on the agenda. Discussion of the city of Oakview Park. Robert, do you know anything about this?
Excuse me, what's the next one on the agenda?
Item B under 4.
Sure. So on April the 27th, the real estate committee met. I presented this staff report along with a number of other backup information and provided them, as I had you, with approximately 4 options. We've been working on this for well over a year, probably almost 2 years.
May the 5th is today.
As we investigate and got into reviewing the documents, et cetera. Option 1 was what we originally thought we were going to do, which is to issue central purpose bonds, refinance the property, pay the special limited partner off, pay the limited partner off, and own the property in total. What we discovered in review of the documents is the developer's fee, which hadn't been paid all this time, is an obligation for us to pay, which is not normally the way that is drafted. And so that is a cost that if we decided to go forward, we would have to include that. So, I looked at that approach. The option 2 is just to put long-term debt financing, and that would be 221, excuse me, not 221, 223F with HUD. Again, the problem there is that we would keep the special limited partner in place. I'm not so sure that that special limited partner, which was the developer, brings anything to the table at this point. And so I didn't see that as a good option. Number 3 is that the property just be sold to the highest bidder. And we would have to market the property in order to do that. As a result of that, we had Andrew Smith, Con Resnick, provide a analysis if we had sold it for a particular price and how the transaction would pan out with regard to the waterfall. There are issues which relate to the limited partnership and capital accounts that must be satisfied before we can get to the point of how we disperse money, and so that's why that was important to do. The fourth option that came up is that the city of Austin came to us with a letter of intent, just saying we're interested. We worked with them. They finally came up with a dollar amount. The dollar amount was $1.4 million. We approached the real estate committee with that. We obviously realized that that was low in our opinion, given option 3. And so at the instruction of the real estate committee, they said, well, why don't you go back with $2.6 million and see if they'll bite on that. So we did. And as of yesterday, I got a call from the city of Austin that said they're willing to come up with $2.6 million. Obviously, they have to do their due diligence. Some of the comments that I saw with regard to City View is, can we require them to do, supportive housing, or what's the word I want to say?
Yes, permanent supportive housing.
Permanent supportive housing, and that's what they want to do. And I approached them with that. I said, we're very interested. We like the fact it's the city of Austin. The city of Austin has money, so we know if they can come through with it. And then what's your likelihood that you'll do that? And they said, well, that is what we want to do. We are going forward, but we cannot guarantee that because we have to go through the process of reaching out to the community. The community may not, but let it be known that that is our intention to do that. And obviously, the price is also contingent upon them getting what's considered affordability unlocked, which increases the density of the number of units that you can put on the property. And so that is a zoning that you would apply for and get. So again, $2.6 million. My recommendation is that we certainly consider that and let it go to that point. That they're going to have a level of due diligence that we need to review. They indicated that they could probably close within 90 to 120 days. So given that kind of money and the need that we have for additional cash flow, that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Is someone from the real estate committee want to speak to that?
Yes, that was our recommendation. I'm very happy to hear that $2.6 million. I know we talked about them not having money. This is good news. And I just wanted to highlight that the real estate committee felt like the best option for this property was to not put it up to the highest bidder, to stick with our mission. And I'm happy to hear that that's still the case. So other than that, I don't have
Anyone else? Questions?
So every now and then I have good news.
We got that's part. We'll give you Ashley going. Mr. Howard, do you have any comments?
So it sounds like there's concurrence on the part of the board to move forward with continued negotiations.
Motion in a minute. I just wanted your
Well,
comment.
it's not posted for action is what I mean. So we will have to bring it back to you for action. But we obviously need to negotiate some terms just to, it was a phone call, right, Robert, I think, or email. So we just want to make sure we get something in writing, and then we'll be bringing that back to you all very soon.
Okay, thank you. Well, the next item on the agenda is board and committee reports, and I would assume at that time you can make a recommendation to them. Okay, which will take.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I would just recommend to the board that we be prepared. We're not taking action today, but that we be prepared to go forward with this sale, the sale of a general partner, the sale of our part of this property to the city of Austin.
Thank you. have the recommendation from the real estate committee. Maybe for what action is needed this time. HR committee, any, no meeting?
Did not meet.
Okay, government committee, no
Not
meeting.
meeting governance committee.
Quality of life, no meeting.
There was a quality of life meeting. We talked about generally the tenant bill of rights, and kind of, can't remember if that was before last meeting. Oh, was it? Oh. Well, I will just share that we will be meeting again with the quality of life committee. We have an update and we'd like to share that with the quality of life committee.
Item 6, Mr. Onion, can you give us a short update
On the portfolio.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. And so I provided a staff report that talks about existing and pending affordable multifamily development. You know, I'll brief by exception. The only difference that I have in here that has changed, the Village of Middle Fistville has officially closed. It took a very long time to do that. And so that has been admitted into our portfolio. We currently do not have any new developments on the horizon, and it's as a result of number one, you know, the transactions that we sponsored with the bond review board did not receive favorable lottery numbers, and then also the issue of the lease addendum, the RHDH lease addendum that might apply to new developments. And I believe that is detrimental to our marketing efforts, and obviously we have to proceed.
I will reiterate my comment earlier about working with Williamson County and looking at that, that submission in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item C, Mr. Super.
Good afternoon. So the financials for strategic is included in the board packet. Page 39 is the operating statement. So we are now 3 months into the fiscal year, and as of March 31st, we have collected $620,000 in revenues, and 614,000 of it is you know, developer fee, construction management fee, distributions from existing partnerships. So I just wanted to highlight that. And it's also got the distribution, I mean, the revenues from the individual partnership listed on the report. And I've also included the balance sheet for strategic in the report. And Robert has talked about the Rosemont relocation and also the advances to Rosemont. And also included is the Rosemont financials that that we get from Capstone. And the one thing that I wanted to highlight, I think I highlighted the last time, was we do have a large payable, which is unpaid bills of $7.7 million. All
right.
I didn't have anything else.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. We're up to item 7, new business. Unpaid business.
So, Mr. Director Julio, last name, had provided some feedback to us. I think we're going to pull it up now, so you can all see that that we would, and then we'll let him share. Where we got it?
Sure. Let me take it from here. I wrote a letter to the board, to the director, with a set of the Region Islands projects that we should consider working on either the committee or the board level. I do intend to, over time, take action on these projects. Unless I get feedback that disparages that action. I think it is important to start diving into some of the those macro, the policy and governance issues that everybody thinks. It shows this is a public and slow way for the different directors to start thinking about some of the topics. Something about you intend to, for the time around number 4, kind of keep an inventory of the open topics I'm considering and interested in discussing, so that you all, as your needs and interests shift, engagement in parking policy and content sharing. Let's encourage you to review the document and chat up with me in the open meeting.
Great. And how many of us have finished the Attorney General's open meetings? Submitted copies to the office. I think that's some of, that's important that we all do that and complete that. I appreciate you sharing it, but again, concern is the process. And although the items have been submitted through the director or in a public meeting like this, is fine to do. Please don't direct your emails to staff, because they all work for Mr. Howard, and then Mr. Howard works for us. So we evaluate him, he evaluates them. So the communication directly to the staff by the board can cause complications, and that's the only thing I was wanting to raise.
Oh, certainly. No, I was did that first weekend. More of our closing
Yeah. So the appropriate way is this way. I would appreciate that. Any other new business?
So as it relates to the item is, we did put it on Boardable, so it's there for your review. In the interest of being, being not violating the Meetings Act, if there comments can be provided to me regarding, thoughts about how we go forward with the items listed, and I guess.
They may be provided to you. Individuals can discuss it with anyone.
Oh, sure. I mean,
But if you do, if I talk to you about it and you talk to Christina about it, that becomes a walk.
Right, but we're not, all of us understand what we're doing before. But the idea that it must happen, is not accurate.
no, I didn't, but I mean, so I'm saying that if it's a concern about how it's distributed, I can always be the one communicating those things to everyone if that's the desired intent, not so much that those are required.
Right, we can also look into the way that the city of Oxford is to have a public forum, so that we can publicly post with each other. Border won't have the capability, so we know what it's doing.
That's correct. So that is correct. I mean, you can place items and have that for discussion. I guess it depends on the nature of what it is we want to discuss, and I think the results and some sort of decision making. But there's certainly I mean, that's how every portal works. I mean, you can put items on, post those items for comment, and we could certainly, let's look at missing the comments.
What do you say, Mr. Attorney?
Well, I just, the prohibition isn't only about making decisions, it's also about deliberation. So that's the concern with the walk before.
Yeah.
Mr. Roberts' part. So that's why I kind of.
Yes, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's good.
That's the only thing I'm saying. I've seen the city of Austin get in trouble where they,
Right.
the Attorney General and everybody came down on them, and several council members were chastised and hand slapped 2 years ago.
Absolutely. No, I was here, and even though it's just going to get a lot of time, we'll agree with this interpretation of the community there. But the preferred solution is to follow the strategy that the city has, which is to have a forum that is public. So communication, particularly with our topics of which is, here are some things that, some thoughts I have.
Right. Okay. So in essence, Mr. Roberts, you could actually just put the item on the agenda for discussion. It's a simple step, next step. And we certainly can comply with that. I mean, that's your.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay, so we will do that.
Let's do it. Okay. I'm gonna get in trouble. They don't get me into my cell phones and emails and all that, but we're at a point now, it's if we have to go into executive session, and I would ask that everybody accept their.
So I been advised that we probably don't need to. I've been advised we probably don't need to.
We don't need to.
Not at this time.
It's been resolved.
It's a pending.
It's been. You want to discuss that, openly, or you?
Sure. So we received a letter from Texas Legal, I'm sorry,
Just a brief version, you will.
TLR. Regarding a situation we had with the Goff family. We had there were the remaining family that we have not relocated back to Rosemont. We did send a notice to vacate based on the inability to meet what we thought were the requirements that were set out for us related to the units that they had desired, the unit type. We have since further looked at the what was being asked and we rescinded that notice as of this morning with the tenant's ability to make a decision about those units that are available. And the attorneys are saying they're reviewing it with the Goff family and we'll be getting back to them. So at this time, it'd be a little premature to actually have any real discussion about such because we don't have feedback from TLRA regarding what the decision would be. So, in essence.
Any questions? Thank you all for coming. Sorry to take up your time. Anything else on the agenda, Mr. Allen? I apologize if we appear to be rushing today and trying to move things, but a couple of us had the agenda and item from the agenda, but we appreciate you. And nothing personal. It's just that I was trying to facilitate you get this out of here. And we want to thank you all for coming to the meeting, and there's no other issues. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, it's been moved. Second moved by Ms. Gonzalez and second Ms. Green. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?